reporting this, which is an American news publication. Putin declares 4 annexed regions ours forever. He blames the U.S. for the Nord Stream attacks. With the ink drying on the official annexation declarations, newly signed by the heads of Luhansk, Donetsk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia regions in Friday's historic ceremony, the key takeaway from President Putin's lengthy speech is that he has declared a mission accomplished of sorts. He said that these eastern and southern provinces are now part of Russia forever. He even touted that the referendums were accomplished in line with the UN Charter on Self-Determination for all peoples. He vowed that they have made their choice. This is the only path to peace. We will protect our land using all of our forces, and we will protect their security. We will, of course, rebuild all destroyed towns and continue building hospitals, theaters, and schools. Putin bluntly informed the large audience of top officials at St. George's Hall at the Grand Kremlin Palace of Moscow that there are now 4 new regions of Russia, and that the Ukrainian government and its Western backers are rejecting. Also on fresh reports that pro-Kremlin forces have suffered more setbacks in the Donetsk in particular. So let's go down and see if we can see some of this speech. He said, with all eyes on the devastating sabotage against the Nord Stream pipelines, Putin pointed the finger squarely at Washington. They are destroying European energy infrastructure. It's clear who benefits. Putin blamed the United States for this week's unexplained explosions on the Nord Stream pipeline that have left the damaged pipelines leaking huge amounts of natural gas into the Baltic Sea. Putin said it is obvious to everyone who did it, he said. On the issue of dwindling energy supplies and soaring costs headed into what is sure to be a rough, frigid winter for European populations, he slammed the Western elites for a problem of their own making. They print money, but you cannot warm your homes with this printed money. They have to convince their citizens to shower less, eat less, and put on warm clothes. The Western elites, it is a crisis due to their own fault. He described that the goal of this hybrid war in Ukraine has a goal to break Russia at any cost. So this is a tweet from Max Seddon. He said, I've watched a lot of Putin's speeches over the last 10 to 15 years, and this is the most anti-US one by really a long way. If I were a Western policymaker wondering if he had really used nuclear weapons, and he hasn't even got to them yet, I'd be very concerned. So I'm not gonna read the entire article, but I just want to show you that we are in trouble, folks. Our country is in grave danger now. This is the first time in history that I can remember that our country is in real danger of a nuclear war with Russia and China. Many of you were not even alive during the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. I was 1 year old. I was 1 year old in 1962. That tells you how old I am. I don't remember it because I was just a baby. But in 1962, the world was on the verge of a nuclear war. Khrushchev, the leader of the Soviet Union, was about to place nuclear weapons in Cuba, or he already had a few there. President John F. Kennedy told Khrushchev, if you do not remove those nuclear weapons, we are going to war. That's the only other time that we are very close to nuclear war, folks. And this is the second time, and this is more severe than what happened in 1962. This is the first time since the Second World War that Russia has mobilized its citizens. its reserve forces. Folks, this is the first time in over 80 years that Russia has called up reserves since World War II. This is how serious this is. The only other time that Russia called up reserves were World War I and World War II, and this is the third time. This will be the Third World War. We are so close to the bombs flying. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not trying to put you into fear. But these are the facts coming in today on September the 30th. So let me get you another article. I want to show you all of these things that are happening right now. And I will be listing all of these articles in the description box. Vladimir Putin gave the green light for the use of nuclear weapons. The Anglo-Saxons, he's talking about us, the United States of America. The Anglo-Saxons blew up the pipelines. The USA created a Hiroshima-Nagasaki trial. So according to this article, President Vladimir Putin is telling the world that we, the United States of America, our government, our Pentagon, was behind the detonation of those bombs that blew up both the Nord Stream 1 and the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. President Vladimir Putin is telling the world that we did it. We did it. We had a hand in blowing up those energy pipelines from Russia to Germany. So let's go ahead and read this article. Putin gave the green light for the use of nuclear weapons. The Anglo-Saxons blew up the pipelines. The USA created a Hiroshima-Nagasaki moment. So here's President Vladimir Putin with the leaders of Donetsk, Luhansk, and the Kherson, Zaporizhia regions. The speech of President Vladimir Putin of Russia brings dramatic global developments. 3 points in his speech herald the use of nuclear weapons. President Putin emphasized that the United States created doom by using nuclear weapons against Japan at the end of World War II. He warned that it will use all means to protect the 4 new areas, the activation of strategic nuclear weapons, and revealed that the Anglo-Saxons, that is us folks, we are the Anglo-Saxons, the United States and the Europeans, and revealed that the Anglo-Saxons blew up the Nord Stream pipelines, confirming War News' 24/7 revelations in the previous article. He said this is a terrorist act against Russian assets. This means that the military leadership has received the green light from Vladimir Putin for the use of nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Putin says they are our citizens and I will protect them by all means. I want the Kiev authorities and their real bosses in the West to listen to me. People in Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia becomes our citizens forever, said the Russian president. Russia will never betray those people of the 4 regions. We will defend our land with all of our forces and means at our disposal. We will do everything to ensure the safety, life of our people. This is the great liberating mission of our people, added the Russian president. The people made their choice in the referendums on the territories of Ukraine, Putin said at the Kremlin's fiesta for the annexation of the new Ukrainian territories. This is the will of millions of people. That is their right. Their first right, enshrined in Article 1 of the United Nations Charter, is the right to decide for themselves about their own destiny. Let me go on down. So this is what Putin said about the pipelines. The Anglo-Saxons blew up the pipelines, and he's talking about us, folks, the people of the United States and Europe. At the same time, he openly accused the United States and Britain, the Anglo-Saxons, of sabotaging the Nord Stream pipelines. He said only they would benefit from such an act. Sanctions were not enough for the Anglo-Saxons. They proceeded with sabotage, said Putin. It is hard to believe, but it is a fact. They organized the explosions on the Nord Stream international gas pipelines, the Russian president said. by staging explosions in the international Nord Stream natural gas pipelines that run along the bottom of the Baltic Sea, they actually began to destroy the pan-European energy infrastructure. The West is looking for a new opportunity to weaken and destroy Russia. But there is such a great country, and they don't count that. The West wants to make Russia a colony, but we will protect our rights. The Russophobia of the West is racist. It is important for the West that countries surrender to their sovereignty for the sake of the U.S. He said their promises not to expand NATO were a lie. They were waging a hybrid war against us. They want to destroy our civilization. The U.S. dominates Germany, Korea, and Japan, yet they talk about equal rights. They also want to do the same with Russia, China, and Iran. He said, it is the U.S. that is destroying European energy infrastructure. The USA believes that with the sanctions against Russia, they would be able to fix the world. Putin said the U.S. is leading Europe away from Russian energy sources and consequently into its deindustrialization. Those who want to live by U.S. rules are Moshewists. The West has no moral right to talk about democracy, he said. There are reasons to believe that Western countries are not looking for a way out of the global food crisis. The West is looking for new opportunities to hit us and has always dreamed of breaking up our state into smaller states that will fight each other. So, this is the breaking news coming in today, folks. It doesn't look very good. It doesn't look very good, and we have some more information. We have more information from Russia that we actually did blow up those two pipelines. We had a Marine Expeditionary Navy flotilla in the area when those pipelines were blew up. The USS Kershaw and other support ships were in the area, the immediate area where those pipelines were. Only a nation state could have the technology and the resources to dive down that deep and plant those explosives and blow it up. So I want to bring you some new articles. I want to show you what people in Europe are saying about the explosion. If I can find the article. Give me just a second. So this next article is coming in from Pravda TV, and we have an ex-foreign minister of Poland, thanking the United States for blowing up Russia's pipeline. So let me get this article on the screen for you guys. So folks, it does look like to me that we actually did it. Our military actually had a hand in blowing up Russia's pipeline. Ex-foreign minister of Poland thanked the United States for the accident at Nord Stream. The former head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Poland, now in MEP, Radosław Sikorski, posted on Twitter photo from the accident on the Nord Stream gas pipeline and said, "Thank you, USA." What Pam Sikorski had in mind, one can only guess. Is this an official statement about a terrorist attack? Russian Foreign Minister spokeswoman Maria Zakharova commented on his post. Meanwhile, in the United States itself refuses to speculate about the causes of the leak in the Nord Stream and the Nord Stream 2 gas pipelines. White House spokesman Karine Jean-Pierre said that the U.S. authorities confirmed their readiness to support European countries in the investigation. Well, folks, why do we even need to investigate it? So let me go to this next article. Folks, there's so much information coming in that we actually did. We were the ones that carried out the attack or planned the attack against the pipeline. So let me bring you this next article. So this is coming in from Zero Hedge, and let me get it on the big screen. Yes, it is on the big screen. The CIA warned Germany of possible Nord Stream pipeline attack. European Commissioner Chief Ursula von der Leyen confirmed that the Nord Stream pipeline system leaks were caused by sabotage and warned of the strongest possible response should active European energy infrastructure be attacked. Earlier, Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen described that 3 separate leaks on the Nord Stream 1 and the Nord Stream 2 pipeline as deliberate acts, adding, "It is hard to imagine that it is an accident." On Monday, Swedish seismologists reported the detection of underwater explosions, shortly after which large patches of the rolling gas came on the surface. So let's go on down to this article. Update 445. German magazine Spiegel said that the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, recently warned Berlin about the increasing signs of a possible planned attack on the Nord Stream pipeline. Spiegel reported, citing unnamed sources, that the CIA tipped off Berlin in the summer about a possible attacks on the Nord Stream 1 and the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. So, how did our CIA know, folks? How did our CIA know that there was going to be an explosion on the pipeline? Let me bring you another article. I'm giving you the smoking gun, folks. I'm giving you the evidence that we probably did it. So let me bring you this next article. Let me get this on the screen for you guys. This is also coming in from Zero Hedge. The U.S. blew up Russia's gas pipeline, Nord Stream 1 and 2, says former Polish defense minister. All right, so the former Polish defense minister said that we did it. A former Polish defense minister. Radek Sikorski had attributed to the United States the sabotage of the 2 pipelines, Nord Stream 1 and 2, which carry natural gas from Russia to Germany. Thank you, USA, Sikorski wrote on Twitter. Sikorski was Minister of National Defense from 2005 to 2007 and served as Deputy Minister of National Defense and Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. So, according to this article, he is saying that we did it, folks. So much stuff is going on right now. I mean, it's so hard to keep up with all the information. But I want to let you know that Russia is not standing still. Russia now has activated their nuclear forces. Russia is moving their strategic nuclear bombers around in their country, getting ready, folks, for a possible strike against NATO. Let me bring you this next article. Russia is not standing still. Russia is being proactive. They have alerted their nuclear forces, and their nuclear bombers are on the move. Nuclear alert, repositioning of 6 Tu-160 and MiG-31s with Kinzhal missiles. Fleet of 8 Russian and Chinese ships off the coast of Alaska. So Russia is moving their nuclear bombers around. They have their MiG-31s, which carries a hypersonic Kinzhal missile, which is an aircraft carrier destroyer. Now, there's been reports the last couple of days that Russian and Chinese warships are off the coast of Alaska. Folks, we're headed for war. We're headed for war with Russia and possibly China. So let's go ahead and read this article. Nuclear alert, repositioning of 6 Tu-160s and MiG-31s with Kinzhal missiles. Fleet of 8 Russian and Chinese ships off the coast of Alaska. Russian moved 3 nuclear-capable Tu-160 strategic bombers near the border with Finland and 3 MiG-31s with Kh-47 M2 Kinzhal missiles to Kaliningrad in moves that hint at the gradual activation of its nuclear arsenal. Both of these weapons can carry nuclear warheads, And the question is whether Moscow is gradually preparing to implement a nuclear plan. The fact also worries NATO. U.S.-Swedish jets were flying today scanning Kaliningrad. United States Air Force RC-135W Rivet Joint and a SWAF Korpin aircraft were spotted in the area, observing Kaliningrad from all sides. Equally worrying is the fact that a squadron of 8 warships from Russia and China was spotted operating off of Alaska in the U.S. economic zone. This is an unprecedented challenge that reminds Washington that the two countries of Russia and China will fight together. Russian and Chinese fleet was inside of the U.S. economic zone off of Alaska. The U.S. military revealed that earlier this month, while the Coast Guard ship was on a routine patrol in the Bering Sea, its crew were surprised to encounter a squadron of ships from Russia and China. More specifically, on September the 19th, a squadron of 5 Russian ships, consisting of 1 frigate, 3 corvettes, a supply ship, with 3 Chinese ships, 1 destroyer, 1 corvette, and a supply ship, appeared in the U.S. economic zone north of Kishka Island, Alaska. The repositioning of 3 Tu-160 strategic bombers near Finland. At the same time, Russia made a strange move by redeploying 3 of its 160 or Tu-160 strategic bombers to the Olenogorsk base. Olenogorsk, I guess that's how you pronounce it. Olenogorsk is a city in Murmansk Oblast, Russia, very close to the border with Finland. Satellites detected the repositioning of the Tu-160 strategic bombers. Below, you can see the image. The reason for the deployment of the Tu-160 strategic bombers capable of carrying nuclear weapons at the airbase remains unknown. However, the bombers were moved here following NATO threats against Russia. And here is a video of the bombers. So these are the Tu-160s that Russia has deployed, and they are very capable of carrying a lot of nuclear bombs. So Russia's not messing around, folks. Russia is not messing around. They are moving their strategic nuclear forces around. They could launch at a moment's notice. This is a Vietnam-era bomber, just like our old B-52s, but this is one of Russia's main bombers it has to carry nuclear bombs. Readiness signal from Moscow. Conscripts begin training in Kaliningrad. Earlier today, Moscow has issued a signal of readiness for its troops in Kaliningrad. The Russian defense minister announced today, Wednesday, that the conscripted reservists in the Kaliningrad area have begun training for combat at the base of the Russian Baltic Fleet. All enlisted military personnel are trained in small arms fire. Additional civilians called up from the reserve are retraining their skills in the handling and maintenance of weapons, military, and special equipment, the ministry said on its Telegram channel. Training is also given to improve marksmanship skills and prepare the military personnel for bold actions on the battlefield. In fact, satellites reconfirmed the repositioning of 3 MiG-31s as carrying the Mach 10 2,000-kilometer range KH-47M2 Kinzhal supersonic missiles at the airfield in Kaliningrad. So I'm not going to read the entire article. I just have too much information to give you guys. So let me see if I can find some more information for you guys. So we also have some breaking news. This is breaking news coming in on our channel right now. Belarus is activating their military, folks. The country of Belarus is activating their military to go to war in Ukraine. Let me bring you this article right here. This is breaking news coming in today, that Belarus will soon join the war in Ukraine. So let me get this on the big screen. Total war. Russia reopens the Kiev front. Thousands of troops are heading for Belarus. Will seal the border with Poland. And these are some of the Russian tanks. Russia is preparing to reopen the Kiev front by moving military forces into Belarus. Russia and Ukrainian sources speak of intensive preparations of the Belarusian railway network to transport hundreds of tanks, armored vehicles, and other weapon systems. At the same time, works are underway at the Zaporozhye and Lunetsk airports, which are expected to be completed within 2 months. The first information speaks of 20,000 Russian reservists who will be transferred to Belarus, with this number being reinforced by the Belarusian forces. It seems that it is only a matter of time before Belarus actively participates in the Ukrainian war. Perhaps that is why Putin and Lukashenko met yesterday in Sochi. If the information about the entry of Belarus into the war is correct, then a number of the 100,000 soldiers will be gathered within an area of responsibility in northwestern Ukraine. Ukrainian sources speak of 100,000 Belarusian soldiers alone. This number is used by Minsk standards and cannot be achieved without conscription. So, folks, it does look like that Belarus now is calling up their reserve forces.